all and welcome back. In the previous session, we have discussed about Saccharomyces, and now we are moving on to the next species, that is Aspergillus. So Aspergillus is occurrence which is widely distributed genus. So Aspergillus, which is a widely distributed genus, and Aspergillus is otherwise called as Eurotium. So this Aspergillus species, which is otherwise termed as Eurotium, and it is a widely distributed species and live mostly as saprophytes. And this Aspergillus will live mostly as saprophytes. It will live mostly as saprophytes. That means it live on dead and decaying organic matter like vegetables, damn fruits, and fatty substrata like ghee and butter. And vegetative structure. The somatic body of Aspergillus consists of profusely branched mycelium. So when we looking on to the vegetative structure of Aspergillus, it consists of profusely branched mycelium. So vegetative body which is consists of profusely branched mycelium, The vegetative body which consists of profusely branched mycelium, and mycelium consists of loosely interwoven mass of much branched septate. And here the mycelium which is much branched septate when it comes to the higher fungi, that in Ascomycota and Basidia mycota, here the mycelium which is septate and branch. So here it is much branched and septate. The hyphae family in and on the substratum serve to absorb food material. So here the hyphae family in and around the substratum. So it live as saprophytes, and that means it depend on other organic matter for their food and for their nutrition. And here the substratum is either it can be vegetables or the damp foods or the fatty substances like ghee and butter. So when the hyphae family is on the substratum and serve to absorb food material, and from that substratum the hyphae will absorb the food material, and from the substratum the hyphae will absorb food material. From the substratum the hyphae will absorb the food material. The hyphae are septate with multinucleate cells. So here the hyphae are septate. So hyphae are septate in nature. Hyphae which are septate in nature and are multinucleate cells. So this hyphae are septate in nature and multinucleate. So this hyphae are septate and multinucleate. Each hyphal cell contains several granulated and vacuolate cytoplasm, several nuclei and oil globules. So we have discussed that this hyphae which is multinucleate. So each hyphal of the hyphal cell contains several granulated or vacuolated cytoplasm. So each hyphal cells contain several granulated and vacuolated cytoplasm. So each hyphal cells contain granulated and vacuolated cytoplasm, several nuclei or oil globules. So when looking on to the each hyphal cells, it contains granulated and vacuolated cytoplasm and several nuclei with oil globules. And the reproduction. So how it reproduces, how Aspergillus reproduces. Mainly there are three ways of reproduction. One is the vegetative, and this vegetative reproduction is by means of fragmentation, and the asexual reproduction. And the asexual reproduction, conidia which are formed in chains upon conidiophores. So here the asexual reproduction is by means of conidia, and this conidia which are formed in chains upon conidiophores. So here this asexual reproduction is by means of conidia. And this conidia which are formed in chains in conidiophores. So the conidia bearing structures are called as the conidiophores. So these conidia which are formed in chains upon conidiophores. So these conidia which are formed on conidiophores. Conidia which are formed on conidiophores. When the asexual reproduction is to take place, when the time of asexual reproduction, certain cells of the hyphae become larger and thick-walled. So at the time of asexual reproduction, certain cells of the hyphae become large. So at the time of asexual reproduction, certain cells of the hyphae become larger. At the time of asexual reproduction, the hyphae become larger and thick-walled. Larger and thick-walled. The cells are known as food cells. So here you can see this is the structure of conidia, and here you can see the conidia and the conidia bearing conidiophores, and here this structure at the time of asexual reproduction, the hyphal cell become large and thick-walled, and that what we call as the food cell. At the time of asexual reproduction, the hyphae become large and thick-walled, and that cell what we call as the food cell. And here this is the structure of food cell. From each food cell arises a vertical branch perpendicular to the long axis of the cell. So here this is a food cell, and you can see that here a vertical branch. You can see a vertical branch perpendicular to the long axis of the cell. So here this is a food cell, and you can see that a branch which is perpendicular to the long axis of the cell, and this vertical branch is called the conidiophore, and the branch which is perpendicular to the long axis of the cell what we called as the conidiophore. So conidiophore, which is a branch perpendicular to the long axis of the cell, and it arises from the food cell. The vertical branch is called conidiophore. Each conidiophore elongates. So likewise, each conidiophore elongates and ends in a dome-shaped multinucleate head called the vesicle. So each conidiophore, this conidiophore will elongate and ends. This conidiophore ends up with a dome-shaped multinucleate head called the vesicle. So this is a conidiophore. This conidiophore ends in a dome-like shape, and that dome-like shape structure what we call as the vesicle. The vesicle may be subglobose. So the structure of vesicle may be subglobose or club shaped or hemispherical in nature. Hemispherical. The large number of nuclei and the protoplasm migrate into the vesicle from the parent hyphae through the conidiophore. So large number of nuclei and protoplasm migrate into the vesicle. So from the conidiophore, a large number. So this is the food cell, and from the food cell it arises the conidiophore, and this conidiophore which ends up in a dome-shaped structure what we call as the vesicle, and this is the conidiophore, and this is the food cell. So this vesicle which may be subglobose, either it may be subglobose, club shaped or hemispherical in nature, and large number of nuclei and the protoplasm migrate into the vesicle from the parent hyphae through the conidiophore. So from the parent hyphae, a large number of protoplasm. So a large number of protoplasm which is migrated to the vesicle. So a large number of protoplasm which is migrated to the vesicle through the conidiophore. Through the conidiophore, large number of protoplasm migrate into the vesicle from the parent hyphae through the conidiophore. The conidiophores are usually unbranched but may be branched. Usually the conidiophores are unbranched, and it can be branched too. In Aspergillus galax and Aspergillus vendi groups, aseptate, thin and smooth walled. So the conidiophores are usually unbranched, and it can be branched also. And in Aspergillus galacus and Aspergillus vendi groups, aseptate, thin and smooth walled. The sterigmata or the fillets, which are the tubular outgrowths, are produced directly from the vesicle covering the entire surface. So here you can see the sterigmata over there or the fillets, which are the tubular outgrowths. So these are the tubular outgrowths which are arises from the, so these are tubular, this sterigmata which are the tubular outgrowths which are arises from the conidio, arises from the vesicle. This sterigmata which are arises from the vesicle. So these are called sterigmata. The sterigmata of fillets, which are the tubular outgrowths and produced directly from the vesicle covering its entire surface. So this sterigmata covering the entire surface of the vesicle, and this sterigmata, which is the tubular outgrowth which arises from the vesicle. This sterigmata may be produced in one or two layers depending upon the species. So here the sterigmata produced which can be one or two layer, and it is based upon the species. So depending upon the species, the formation of sterigmata will vary. The sterigmata of first series are called primary sterigmata. The sterigmata which are produced first are called as the primary sterigmata. The sterigmata which are produced first are known as primary sterigmata, and the second series are called as secondary sterigmata. So it may be vary. The sterigmata production will be vary depending upon the species. So the second set of sterigmata, which is called as the secondary sterigmata. The second set of sterigmata, which is called as the secondary sterigmata. So here you can see the primary and the secondary sterigmata over there. When two layers of sterigmata are produced, the upper layer forms the conidia. So here two layers of sterigmata are there, and the upper layer of the sterigmata. So this is the upper layer. This is the upper layer, and this upper layer which produce or which forms the conidia. Conidia formed on the upper layer. The primary sterigmata behave as supporting cells. So when two layers of sterigmata are there, the conidia which are forms from the secondary sterigmata. The upper layer forms the conidia, and the primary layer which act as a, and here this is a primary layer and the primary sterigmata which act as a supporting cell. The conidia bearing sterigmata typically bottle shaped. So the conidia bearing sterigmata, the sterigmata which bears the conidia are bottle shaped. The sterigmata which bears the conidia are bottle in shape. And from the sterigmata, secondary sterigmata, various conidia which are arises. And the conidia bearing sterigmata are typically bottle shaped. From the tip of the sterigmata, a succession of conidia are cut off one below the other in chains. So you can see over there the structure of conidia, and on the secondary sterigmata where the conidia are formed. The sterigmata which has to produce the conidia narrows into a spore producing tube, and the sterigmata which has to produce the conidia. So here the secondary sterigmata which produces the conidia, and the secondary sterigmata which has to produce the conidia which narrows into a spore producing tube. So the secondary sterigmata which narrows and into a spore producing. So here this is the secondary sterigmata. This secondary sterigmata will narrows into a spore producing tube. The secondary sterigmata will narrows into a spore producing tube, and you can see that the conidia which is seen on the secondary sterigmata, on over the secondary sterigmata you can see the conidia. The nuclei in the sterigmata divide, and one of each pair of daughter nuclei passes into the tube. So the nuclei in the sterigmata divide, and one of each pair of daughter nuclei passes into the tube. So you can see here the conidia in chains and the steric So the nuclei in the steric divide and one of each pair of daughter nuclei passes into the tube. So the nuclei in steric matter divides, the nuclei in steric matter divides and one of each pair of daughter nuclei passes into the tube. So the nuclei in steric matter divides and one of each pair of daughter nuclei, which one of each pair of daughter nuclei passes into the tube. The terminal portion of the tube is then cut off. So later this terminal portion of the tube is cut off by a septum to form a short uninucleate cell, the conidium. So later on the next slide you can see the structure of conidia. So here the tube, the secondary sterigmata which narrows and it behaves as a spore producing tube. Later the sterigmata divide, one of each pair of the daughter nuclei passes into the tube and the terminal portion of the tube. So here the terminal portion of the tube. So this is the terminal portion of the tube and this terminal portion of the tube is get cut off. So here this is the terminal portion. The terminal portion is get cut off and it form a short uninucleate, and the terminal portion of the tube which is cut off and it form a short uninucleate cell called the conidium, and the uninucleate cell what we call as the conidium. A second conidium is then cut off, behaves the first one in the same manner, and later the second conidium is then cut off as the first conidia cut off. So this is the structure of conidia. The conidia are thus producing long basipetal chain. So this is the structure of conidia. Here the secondary sterigmata will narrows and it forms a spore producing tube, and when the nuclei is passed into the tube, the terminal portion gets cut off and it becomes a short uninucleate cell, and that uninucleate cell is called the conidium. Uninucleate cell what is called as the conidium, and this is the structure of conidium. And the conidia thus produce in long basipetal chain. Each conidium receives a daughter nucleus from the mother nucleus of the sterigmata, and each conidium, so the each conidium which formed gets a daughter nuclei. Each conidia which gets a daughter nuclei. Each conidia which gets a daughter nucleus from the mother cell of the sterigmata. So each conidia receives a daughter cell. Each of the conidia which arises from the secondary sterigmata receives a daughter nucleus from the mother nucleus of the sterigmata. So each conidia which receives a daughter nucleus from the mother nucleus of the sterigmata. And each conidia secretes a wall of its own internal to the wall of the tube, and each conidia which secretes a wall of its own internal to the wall of the tube. So the two walls become fused, or the conidia may be lie freely inside the parental cell. So each conidia secretes a wall. So this is the conidia and it produces a wall. The two walls become fused, or the conidia may lie freely inside the parental cell. After separation, each conidia assumes the size and shape characteristics of the species. So after separation, here the two walls which become fused, or the conidia which are lie freely inside the parental cell, and after separation, that means when it gets separated from the parent cell, each conidia assumes a size. So once it separated from the parent cell, this conidia assumes its size. This conidia assumes its size and shape. So once it gets detached from the parent, it assumes its shape and size, and this shape and size which may be vary depending upon the characteristic of the species. So there are different species of Aspergillus are there, and this size and shape will based on the characteristics of the species. The conidia produce in enormous numbers, and it is this which are responsible for the characteristic colors of the various number of various species of Aspergillus, and the conidia which are produced in enormous number. This conidia which are produced in enormous number. So this is a conidia form, and this conidia which are produced enormous in number. Conidia which are formed enormous in number. And it is this which are responsible for the characteristic color of the various species, and this is the characteristic features for the various colors of the characteristic colors of the various species of Aspergillus. The conidia are typically spherical. The conidia formed which are typically spherical and unicellular structure. The conidia formed are spherical. The conidia formed are spherical and unicellular. The conidia which formed are spherical and unicellular. These are the first smooth but become ornamented with small pines as they mature. So the conidia which is the surface which is smooth, and when it get matures a small pines. So this conidia which are smooth, and when it gets matures small pines which can be seen over there. In majority of the species the conidia uninucleate, but in the other species they become multinucleate. In majority of the species this conidia is uninucleate. Majority of the species this conidia is uninucleate, and there may be multinucleate also. They vary in number from almost colorless to grey. And Aspergillus nudulans blackish, Aspergillus niger according to the different species. So Aspergillus nudulans which is black in color, and Aspergillus niger which may be differ according to the different species. The conidia are disseminated by air currents. The conidia thus formed. So the conidia which is uninucleate in nature, and there may be multinucleate also. Most of the conidia which are uninucleate. Most of the conidia which are uninucleate. And here the surface is smooth, and when it gets mature spines will be seen. When it gets mature spines will be seen. And this conidia which are disseminated by air currents, and these are disseminated by air currents. This conidia which are disseminated by air currents, and on reaching a suitable substratum is germinate into a new mycelium. So here this is a substratum which is suitable for the germination of this conidia. When this conidia reaches the suitable substratum, it will arises or germinate as a new mycelium. So it will germinate as a new mycelium. So this is a diagrammatic representation of the asexual reproduction of Aspergillus. So the first one is the somatic hyphae, young conidiophore arising from the food cell. So the first is the somatic, figure A shows the somatic hyphae, and from the somatic hyphae the food cell arises, and you can see that a young conidiophore which is arises from the food cell, and the tip of the conidiophore will swellen and form the vesicle. On the figure C and C, you can figure C and D, you can see the development of the vesicle. The tip of the conidiophore will form a dome-shaped structure, and the dome-shaped structure what is called as the vesicle. And figure E shows the optical section of the vesicle showing development of steric matter. So here this is figure E shows the development of steric matter. So steric matter which are developed on the surface of the vesicle, and there may be primary and secondary steric matter. And figure F shows the surface view of vesicle showing steric matter. So here the developing steric matter you can see over there, and this on the surface there are primary and secondary steric matter will be formed. And G, later stage in development of steric matter, bulbous vesicle of conidiophore with conidia budded off in chain. So here you can see that these are the developing steric matter, and on the steric matter, on the secondary steric matter, you can see the conidia in chains. On the, so this is a dome shaped vesicle and primary steric matter over there, and Above the primary steric matter, you can see the secondary steric matter, and on the secondary steric matter, you can see that the conidia which are formed on the secondary steric matter. And when this conidia which are formed in chains are get budded off. Bulbous vesicle of conidia form, which conidia budded off in chains from steric matter. So it is get detached from the steric matter and it becomes a single steric, and it becomes a single conidium. So this single conidium, which is somewhat spherical in shape and uninucleate, and you can see the spines which are produced over the surface of the conidia. And this conidia, when reaching a suitable substratum, when the conidia which are disseminated by air currents, and when it reaches the suitable substratum, it germinates and gives rise to new mycete. So this is the asexual reproduction of Aspergillus.